Hi everyone, my name is Questor. Welcome to the third episode of my unofficial program, Guild Wars for all levels for the game Gems of War. Today we're going to talk about building your Guild War attack team. So what makes an effective team that can attack during Guild Wars? Well, let's go right ahead and test out a Guild War attack team that I use on brown days. Okay, so let's pretend this is Guild Wars. And I have my brown team here. We have Gorgotha, who is a mana generator and a frontline tank. Emperor Corvash, who is a damage dealer as well as a disabler. Famine, who is a disabler and also a damage dealer. And King Highforge, who is a damage dealer and a summoner. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first off, we're gonna take Skulls because he has Spirit Fox up. Don't know exactly who Spirit Fox is gonna attack. So we take Skulls. Okay, goes for King Highforge. Okay. I may have to take another trio of Skulls. Okay. Alright. Well, it looks like we'll end up killing Scion here. Because I don't want to take Brown because Sion's just gonna drain it from us. Okay, Sion's up. No big deal. We don't have mana in our team, so it doesn't matter if he drains us or not. So let's see what kind of move. This is gonna be okay, and we end up killing out Scion. Alright, so Sion's gone. Now we can get brown mana and fill up our mana generator. Okay, get all these blues and then get this browns. Okay. Okay, get these browns. Okay, so now we have our mana generator up. Let's go ahead and explode the board. Alright. So next, we're gonna use King Highforge and damage the last two enemy slots. Okay. I'm gonna explode the board again to generate mana for the team. Alright. I don't want Ragnagord getting up and casting its turn, so I'm gonna go ahead and disable him by stealing its mana. You don't steal its mana, you just drain it, sorry. Now I'm gonna get these browns. Okay, let's explode the board again. Okay, as you see, Abenicia is almost up, but we have Famine. So what we'll do is target Abenicia. Get rid of her so she doesn't summon. Okay. And one shot from King Highforge will kill her. Then we use Emperor Corvash to kill the fox. Okay, and let's explore the board again. Right. This is already a win. It's just a matter of time, and we won. Okay, so that was an effective team. So let's go ahead and categorize each troop that we have, like figure out what role they play in the team. So Okay, first up, we have our frontline tanks. Frontline tanks are troops that serve as frontline offense and defense for your team. They will be the first to attack with skulls, and they will also be the first to receive skull damage. You will want your tank to either be sturdy or agile or both. Frontline tanks occupy the first position of the team, of course. So, Gorgotha here, for example, is a defensive frontline tank, and he is very defensive because he has granite skin as his third trait, which reduces skull damage by 75%. So he can take a lot of skulls. Then here we have Artima. Artima is also a frontline tank, but she is an offensive version. She actually her build is to make sure that the enemy dies when she takes skulls. So she has armor piercing, which deals she has a 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage. So she's just gonna go straight to the enemy health without having to hit the armor. And she also has dexterous, which allows her to dodge skulls at 40% chance. So she is an offensive tank which has the ability to dodge skulls. Next up, we have Rock Troll, and Rock Troll is also a tank. He has Stone Skin, which reduces damage from skulls by 50%. Also, he has the ability to stun an opponent, so he can stun the first troop, and so he is one of those tanks that also does like a status effect on the enemy team. And then we have here is Selvasi. Selvasi here has he can dodge skulls because he has agile, which allows him to dodge skulls 20% of the time, and also bark skin, which reduces damage from skulls by 33%. So it makes him also a good tank. By far the most popular tank is Gorgotha. Okay, so we have frontline tank. Now next up we go to mana generators. Mana generators are troops that generate mana for your team. They also tend to be board manipulators where they rearrange the contents of the board. You will want your mana generators to occupy either the first two positions in the team so you can fill them up with mana and cast their ability as soon as you can. So there are different types of mana generators. Let's talk about Valkyrie. Valkyrie is a mana converter. What she does is she transforms a selected mana color to blue. So if you have alignment on your board, you have several blue mana, and then there's some red in between. You can convert those red gems to blue, and you have alignment, and then you can fill up like a troop that you have that uses blue. Now, she is a gem converter, and gem converters are usually very safe. They're very safe because they make sure that you have an extra turn, and it's always going to be your turn afterwards. You cast their ability. So Valkyrie is one of those gem converters, and they generate mana for your team in a very safe way. Next up, we have exploders. These are the kind of mana generators that what they do is they explode gems. So what explode does, it destroys a gem and all 8 gems around it. So it only generates 70% of the mana, but that's a lot actually. So this one, it does not convert gems to a chosen color, but because of the explosion, it will give a lot of mana to your teammates. So it does not focus on one color alone. It will give mana to all your teammates. And this is it's a double-edged sword. So what I mean is that it rearranges your board, and sometimes you land an extra turn, which is good for you, but sometimes it will fix the board in such a way that your enemy can take extra turns, and then you could possibly lose because of that. So this is riskier as a mana generator, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's just it tends to be risky. Now you have here is Flame Troll, and this is another type of mana generator, and this one it doubles the number of red gems on the board. So you have different kinds of trolls doubling different kinds of colors, and Flame Troll doubles red gems. And this is also risky unless you have many red gems on the board. So for example, if you have 8 red gems on the board, that's kind of risky because the chances of it is gonna miss when you double the gems. But say if you have 13 red gems on the board, then the chances of you missing is very low, and so it's gonna end up your turn. So this is I'd say medium risk. If it's gonna be high risk if you double a few gems, but if you double many gems, then it's gonna be low risk. And then we have gem spawners. Dryad is a gem spawner because what she does is she creates 8 green gems on the board. Now, this is the riskiest of all mana generators because it can end up with like you could end up with like the gems that she make matching the board. Say if you have plenty of green gems on the board and you create 8 green gems more, then the chances of you missing a turn is low. But say there are not many green gems on the board and then you put 8 green gems and she puts it in a way that it misses, and not only misses but like allows for an extra turn match for the enemy team, so it's gonna be a lot riskier. So of all the mana generators in the team, the gem spawner is the riskiest, and the generator that is low risk is the gem converter, such as Valkyrie. Okay, next up we have the damage dealers. These troops deal direct damage to the enemy team and are directly responsible for winning the round. These troops tend to be squishy, so you will want them mostly occupying the 3rd slot of the team where it's safest. Okay, there are different kinds of damage dealers. So first up, let's talk about Tetris the Bull. Tetris the Bull is a mythic, and what he does is he deals damage to an enemy boosted by his attack, life, and armor, and then half of that damage to adjacent enemy teams. So while it does not target all enemy team members, it will at least hit 1 and at most hit 3. So he's good. He's good when he has a lot of like health and attack and armor, and he can deal a lot of damage, and there's a lot of splash damage that can happen when he does that. So Tetris Bull is one of those really good damagers. Okay, and then you have a one-shot damager. Ferrisra is a mythic that deals damage boosted by souls. So if you've collected a lot of souls, then he can one-shot an enemy troop. So you have Tetris the Bull that does splash damage, like heavy damage on one and damage to adjacent teams. And then you have Ferrisra who deals one-shot damage. So single enemy target, that's all he does, but he can kill them with one shot, if you have enough souls. And then we have Guard's Avatar. Guard's Avatar does AoE damage, so area of effect. Basically, he hits all enemies. and he hits all enemies with a fixed amount. So it deals, for example, he deals damage to all enemies boosted by his armor. So that can be allowed damage, and it hits all enemies. So this troop usually is the one that can do a team wipe to an enemy team. So next up, we have Osmonds Chosen, and this one, she damages the entire team, but she, instead of causing fixed damage, she does split damage. So for example, she deals 47 damage randomly split among enemies. So the enemy's gonna split 47 damage among themselves. So it's not gonna be fixed, but if you have a lot of enemies, the damage is gonna be spread out. But if you have just a few enemies, then the damage is more concentrated. So that's the advantage and disadvantage. The disadvantage being, like, if there are a lot of enemies, there's going to be, less damage per enemy troop because it's spread out. But if you have less enemies, then it's concentrated damage. So she can also one-shot an enemy troop if it's the only enemy troop left. Okay? And next up, we have Disablers. These troops cause status effects against the enemy team and also decrease enemy stats. They make it hard for the team to retaliate. If you have the enemy team debilitated, your victory is assured. So, one of the most annoying and effective disablers is Famine. Famine drains the mana of the enemy team, and then it deals damage to an enemy boosted by the mana drain. Now, if the enemy has a lot of mana, then it will drain all that mana, the whole team. The whole team loses all its mana, and then it uses that mana to deal damage to a single enemy troop. So Famine can essentially one-shot an enemy troop with its ability, and it disables the team in such a way like they have to collect their mana again. So you'll always have a mana lead over the enemy, and that is the kind of advantage you'd want. You will end up stopping the enemy before they can attack, and you will always be ahead of them, when it comes to mana. Then we have Plague. Plague is a mythic that decreases a random skill on all enemies by 17. So, for example, we have magic, attack, armor, and health. He can decrease, like, say, attack by 17. So if he decreases attack by 17, then the enemy, when they get a skull, they inflict less damage. So he basically disables them. If he disables them multiple times with this trait, especially with this trait where enemies lose 3 skill points on 4 or 5 gem matches. So if you match a lot of gems and then use his ability, eventually the enemy will have no attack or no magic or no armor, or he can even kill them by decreasing the health. So again, you're disabling the enemy, you're debilitating them, and making it really hard for them to retaliate. Now you have Queen Mab. Queen Mab is really popular because she can freeze the entire enemy team. So what does freeze does? Well, a frozen troop can no longer do an extra turn. So basically, if they pick up like an extra turn match, it's not gonna translate to an extra turn. If they pick 4 or 5 gems, if they match them up, instead of getting an extra turn, it loses its turn, then it's your turn. So, it may sound like, oh, they just lose their turn. Actually, it's a lot. Because if you can gain extra turns, but the enemy can't, then you'll always be leading in mana compared to the enemy team. So Queen Mab is really good at freezing the enemy team and makes her a very good disabler. And then you have Silent One. Silent One is a legendary that silences all enemies and himself. So what does silence do? Well, it makes them not able to cast their spells. So basically, they can't cast their spells and they can't do anything. They can only take skulls. And if this is a race for mana, you'll end up with more mana and you'll end up with like casting more spells than the enemy team because they can't retaliate because they can't cast their spells. So he's a disabler. Okay, next up we have supporters. So what are supporters? These troops enhance fellow allies. They provide different buffs to members of your team. They can make a troop really strong or make sure a troop does not die. So Sunweaver, right here, she increases the attack, armor, and life on an ally by 19, and the ally also gains 6 mana. So she can generate mana for the team, directly without matching gems. But in a way, that's called a boost too. Give them a mana boost, and also she increases the life of an ally and their attack and their armor, making them a lot stronger. So she's she's a supporting troop, and you use her ability to make sure that your troops are strong. And we have Queen Isabel. And Queen Isabel, she is a damage dealer, but she's also she's mainly a support troop, because what she does is she gives your troop 17 attack and armor, and also gives all other allies 3 to 8 mana. So she increases the attack and armor, and then she gives mana, and which makes her effective in supporting other troops. And then we have Waverider, who gives an ally 28 armor and barrier, then submerge them. So this is very protective. So giving them a lot of armor, and then giving them barrier to protect them from damage, and then submerge them to protect them from AoE damage. So he is definitely a supporter. And we have Dragonian Monk. Dragonian Monk destroys gems in an X shape, barrier a random ally for every yellow gem destroyed. So basically he can give shield barrier to all your team. So he is definitely a supporter, but he does not do any attack. He might destroy skulls and cause a little bit of damage to the enemy, but mostly he's a support troop. And finally, we have summoners. These troops make sure that if one of your troops dies, it can be replaced. As you already know, the game gives bonus points based on the number of troops surviving after a match. So if you want to ensure you have a backup in case one of your troops die, have a summoner on your team. So right here, we have Uriali. Uriali summons a Bone Naga. Then we have Christinex. Christinex summons a Silver Dracon. Erinai's summons 2 Quasits. And King Highforge summons a random dwarf. So as you've noticed, they not only summon, but they also do something else. Like Uriali, she deals true damage to all enemy teams. Christinex does direct damage to all enemy teams. And then Erinais, she's a mana generator. She converts gems to purple. And then King Highforge also does damage to enemy teams. He also stuns them, so he's also a disabler. And as you've noticed, all the troops that we've mentioned, they all fit. They are one thing and they're also another. So they fill multiple roles. So okay, so let's go ahead and try another team, and this time we're gonna go ahead and do a battle, and let's go up against this team. Okay, and this time we're gonna use a different team right here. Again, we're using Gorgotha, and he is a mana generator as well as a frontline tank, defensive tank. We have Sunweaver, who is a support troop. We have Scatty. Scatty is a damage dealer, a summoner, and a disabler. And then we have World Breaker, who is a mana generator and a damage dealer. Okay, and let's play. So as you notice, our frontline tank is the first one on the team. So I'm gonna get these browns. Okay, and I'm gonna get these greens. There you go, we end up with an extra turn. And I'm gonna get these yellow, maybe not, because it's gonna land an extra turn for the enemy. I'll get these greens. Okay. And I'll get more greens. So there's this extra turn here. He's gonna cast this ability. We won't be able to stop it. Use this. Okay, it's good. Let's explode the board. So as you see, we have a mana generator that also doubles as a frontline tank. So let's use this mana generator to generate mana for the team. Okay, and now we can cast our another mana generator. All right. Okay. Now we have Scatty up. Well, let's get these greens. Okay, and these blues. Now we have Scatty, and we want to move that Cyan to the back. So it and that's why she is a disabler, because not only does she freeze an enemy, she messes up the entire team, so their synergy doesn't work very well. So let's push the first two to the back. Okay, and as you see, Cyan wasn't able to get the skulls, and because Cyan wasn't able to use the skulls, he wasn't able to drain Gorgotha's mana. So let's go ahead and use World Breaker and explode mana on the board again. Okay, and this is probably the win right here. Let's cast Scatty for the win. And there you have it. We won. Okay, so just to wrap it up, right here, we use a frontline tank that also serves as a mana generator. We use a support troop. We have a damage dealer, also a disabler, and also a summoner. And then we have another mana generator who also deals damage. So these are like high-level troops right here. We have 2 mythics and 1 legendary and 1 epic. So when you're playing and it's your first time playing, you may not have these, but I would suggest that you at least have a frontline tank, a mana generator as your second slot, a damage dealer, and then another support troop or damage dealer. So you can have a support troop, you can have a disabler, you know, and you can mix them up, but the most important part is they have synergy that work among each other. And finally, the very, very important detail that I almost missed is that they all should share the same mana color. So as you notice, Gorgoda is yellow-brown, Sunweaver is yellow-blue, Skadi is yellow-blue-purple, and Worldbreaker is yellow-red-green. So that's how you build your Guild War team, by making the most of these different kinds of troops, putting them all together and making them work with each other. There are many ways to do this, but it's always important to have a mana generator in your team. I would say that's the most essential part of your team, a mana generator and a damage dealer. You will have those two, and to make sure your team doesn't die from skulls, you have a frontline tank, and then you could either have a disabler, supporter, or a summoner. But definitely you need a mana generator and a damage dealer. And if you at least have those two, then your team would likely work, you know. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you for tuning in again. And for the next episode, we're going to be opening 1,000 guild chests. So I want you to tune in and see what we get. So the topic for next episode is collecting troops. Yes, collecting troops for your Guild War team. Thank you again for tuning, and have a good day. Later.